Well, hi everybody. This is Dear Mama Sal, and we are live on a Friday lunchtime, which means it is time for our skills broadcast. And for those of you who might be new to the broadcast or watching it on the replay, we actually do three broadcasts a week. I'm just sorry, got to turn my own. Um, we have three broadcasts a week. On a Friday lunchtime, we do a skills learning moment. Friday evening, we do that at 7 o'clock Pacific time. Friday evening, we do a laughter one. And then on Sunday, we do a soul broadcast. So the reason I do three totally different broadcasts is because I believe they are the three, if you think about a three-legged stool, um, the reason a three-legged stool is balanced is because it has three separate support systems. If you can keep on learning, if you can keep on laughing, and if you can keep on being mindful, you know, the big world out there is not going to be attacking you as much, or rather, it will continue trying to attack you, but you will have this buffer zone around you that won't allow it in. And that's called happiness. Really, from my experience, that's what happiness is not being affected by all that is happening around you. So today we're going to be talking about hmm, about not letting anger get in the way of the nice person that you are. I think that's how I would word it. Quite often things go against the way we want it to, and then we turn into this, witch from hell, except change the beginning of that word, a witch. We turn into the witch from hell because somebody has upset us. And what I want us all to understand is if we allow the outside world to change who we are, then they have control. You know that you have control when the outside world tries to do that, and you can maintain your composure. And so that is exactly what we're going to be talking about today. I wanted to make sure that you understand that if you are new to the broadcast, that you might want to just click on just bear with me 1 second here, might want to click on the subscribe button so that you are aware of what is coming up in the way of broadcast, but also to hit the bell, because that when you hit on the bell, what will happen is that when we are doing a broadcast, it will absolutely tell you as well. So I also would recommend that you make sure you follow Dear Mama Sal on Facebook and on Twitter. We use Facebook as a diary. We have thoughts and prayers for people. For example, we know that Jody is going in for a biopsy on Monday. And I am certain all my viewers will want to wish her thoughts and prayers for that. That must be a little scary, even though we know that the majority of biopsies end up being benign and not being the nasty stuff. But on the other hand, Jody has, a history of cancer. So therefore, it must be twice as scary for her as it would be for anybody else. Been there, done that. I know about these things. So just a big hug to Jody. And by the way, for those of you who don't know, Jody is our admin. And she looks after me and reminds me of things that I forget. I can't even remember what she reminds me of. How about that? So so we do that thoughts and prayers stuff on Facebook. And I just want to make sure, for those of you who might not know, it's important for you to know what's been going on with me. So what I'm about to tell you hopefully will make more sense. I actually am in the process of trying to sell my house. And over the course of the last 6 months, I have had 4 different offers, and every one of them, it's very stressful to accept an offer on your house. There are lots of, legalese stuff and scary stuff, quite honestly. And, there's so much money involved, and if you're human, you're scared of making a wrong decision. And so you can imagine that having gone through this, so many times, it doesn't get easier. And it's very high stress, and I don't recommend it, but you have to go through it if you want to sell your property. And so what I have found is that you need to have a different mentality. And the mentality is that you think differently. And that's what I'd have to say. You need to learn to think differently. And maybe the thinking differently is what, how can I word this? It is what emotional intelligence is all about. And emotional intelligence, I have a horrible feeling I've just nuked the broadcast. There we go. I couldn't find the tab that has the broadcast on it. It's so scary. Anyway, so what I wanted to make sure, I'm just trying to get my notes up for you so that we can just go through some of these things. So the base point is that this is very scary stuff. The other thing is, what I noticed was that every time I accepted an offer, what was going wrong was the money side. My house cleared the inspections to varying degrees, but it was the money that actually was the catch for everybody in different ways. So what I said on to my realtor is, can we be doubly sure that the people making the offer have the money, that is needed? I'm sure you can understand that, three times prior to this last one, it had gone wrong because of money. So now what I want to know is, do they have the money, all right, to be able to buy my house? Yes, I know they want to buy my house, but do they have the ability to do that? Do they have the money to do that? So what I found was this last offer I was quite excited about, because the one thing that everybody said was, the person who had put in the offer, money was not an issue. And I can remember, when I think back now, I can remember them saying to me, also somewhere along the line, that the lady who put in the offer, who I adored, by the way, that her husband had died or had passed. Yeah, I think he died. I'm just trying to think. I don't think he left, he died. And so I want you to be aware of that, because that sort of may end up being a key point later. So what happened was, I really got a great offer from her, and I negotiated down a little with her, and all the subjects got removed. Those are the things. Yes, we will buy this, subject to this inspection being done, subject to the financing being okay, subject to da 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 da. It's quite normal when you're doing a house sale. And so this, the subjects I was worried about was everything except the money, because what I'd been told was, the money is there, don't worry. So I said, okay, fine. So guess what? When all the other subjects got removed, and all I was waiting for was the deposit to come through today, you understand, I was pretty much starting to think, yay, I can now start looking for my next home. And with 30 hours to go yesterday, I heard that the sale had collapsed because of money. Now, I want you to feel what you feel on hearing that. Um, because, it is when you've done so much to try and do it all right, it's scary. So I am pretty sure that most of you will say that you'd be pretty angry about that. When you've done everything you could um, to make sure that the money side of it was balanced, and really the only thing you had to worry about were the other things. To suddenly hear that the money wasn't there when everybody had told me um, was just, scary stuff. So, what is anger? Because I did for a split second, I don't mind telling you, I did for a split second go, short word. Like it was, yep. And then, quite honestly, as some of you who know me well can probably imagine, I literally was looking at my screen at the email that was sent to me, going, "What? That's a four-letter word." Um, so it was just like, "What?" And so now the thing was, there's a split second of anger. And you can probably understand that because I had been so insistent that we make sure that this did not have a problem financially when I took the offer. That was the one thing I said, look, I don't mind doing all of this, but are we sure that the money is there? And my realtor and my realtors, the realtor on the other side, both said, no problem with the money. Okay, fine. Then let me take this offer. However, let me talk to you about anger, because I have learned something, while we've been working on emotional intelligence this year, and that's what we've been doing. What I have learned above all other things is that anger is a weakness, not a strength. Yes, it is. You are entitled to get angry because it's an emotion. But quite honestly, I want you to think about it differently. People with emotional control rarely get angry, and if they do, it's not for long. Very short, literally minutes, if maximum, because they deal in reality and say to themselves, but it is what it is. And then they can let it go. Now, I'm not saying that they don't go back there occasionally, but it is what it is. So let it go. And I was pretty sure that you guys might be interested to know, how did I control that moment, right? And not about, oh, look at me, how great I am, but this is what I have learned um, over the years, and this is how I controlled that anger. You see, people who can control their emotions, when they feel that anger, they immediately know that what they need to do is to distract their mind away from that negative thought, right? Because the negative thought is going to overtake your mind. How many of you know that hamster wheel? Well, that's not fair, and I did all this checking out, and da 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 da, and that's not. And how can they do that to me? And take it very personally, and all the rest of it. And you know something? As I'm going to explain, it gets you nowhere. It doesn't change a darn thing. It doesn't change anything. You getting angry does not change anything. So if you like, anger is very destructive to ourselves. It is not destructive to the other people unless you're doing it face to face. What it is extremely destructive to ourselves. And so now I've learned, and funny enough, I got a clue on this one from Benji one time, for those of you who know Benji, when he said to me, whenever he gets angry, he cleans. And I can't remember how it came up in conversation. And I said, well, that that tells me a lot, because, he's got an immaculately clean house. And, it's just like somewhere along the line, his mommy had taught him that when he gets angry, to use that energy in a positive way rather than a negative way. And we'll talk a bit about that as well. So, some of you will find that when you get angry, it's a really good thing for you to write that anger out, not spew it out at another human being, but to write it out. What am I angry about? All right. And then do what they call, cognitive therapy, which we'll talk a little bit about in a moment, to balance out everything. And the third thing you can do is you can vent. Now, venting does not take 3 days. Venting is like a 5-minute max type, let all that negativity out of your mind. And quite honestly, my friends know I will just type, okay, I need to vent. Now, venting is a very freeing thing. It allows you to say exactly what you feel, even though you know that it might not be rational. Just for the moment, you can just go, I think it's then, and you just literally, throw up all the negativity that you've got in your mind and get it out. Now, the only people I would recommend that you vent with are people that are going to not let you vent for more than 5 minutes, because that's a friend. And the other, and after 5 minutes, they're going to start saying, well, what are you going to do about it now? Because quite honestly, and even in less than 5 minutes, my friends, actually, will give me a quick hug because they understand that I'm in pain. But the next question is, how can I support you now? In other words, let's move on. The other thing I would recommend is to visualize something different. Okay, so yeah, I can't see the chat. Yep. Okay, so Jody is very kindly passing me the chat through. All right, so Niasha's saying, if it were me, I'd be fed up, frustrated, and wonder why these deals are falling through. Yeah, but the truth is, even though all of those things are true, Niasha, yeah, it's like, but does it change anything? No. That's the scary thing. It doesn't change anything. So, but yes, I agree with you. And that would be quite normal, is what I'm saying. So I wanted to just go back for a second to this visualization. I read somewhere once that if you want to get rid of anger, all right, see the anger as a tiny grain of sand. All right. This is my anger right here. It feels about this big, but actually it's just actually this big. And see yourself in your mind, walking down a beach and dropping your anger onto the beach, because the big beach, the beautiful beach that you can see around you, is actually who you are. That's how I like to see it. I'm actually this beautiful, clean beach. And this little dark piece of sand, that's how I see it, like a black piece of sand, is only a very minor part of this beautiful white beach. And I drop it in the, I drop it in on the beach. Now, I wonder if you guys can see that in your minds. And if so, I hope that helps. All right, so Jody's just sent me a few more notes here. Let me just get to them. Of course, I minimized that screen, Jody. And for those of you who don't know what's happening here, for some reason, with this loaner computer, it messes up on the feed for chat sometimes. I'll be glad when mine gets back again. All right, so let me see what Jody said here. All right. So Kimmy says, I get upset because my grandkids don't respect me and they talk back, or they do things to get me in trouble to get their way. Yes. And, we understand that. And, Kimmy, we've talked that many times. And I think you took great action where you said, as long as they continue this behavior, um, you know, they actually don't get to visit anymore. All right. Because, why reward bad behavior? Why would you mess with your day? And so what you did was an awesome thing because you controlled the situation. And I really think that you were so good in doing that. All right. I just want to get back to the visualization thing here. So can you imagine this grain of sand in the big scheme of things? That's what I would like to know. Did I describe that in a way that makes sense to you? That really what it is not the end of the world. It is just a grain of sand in your life. Now, the thing is that for me, this particular sale was a very good one in terms of the amount of money. And we also know that winter is coming. And because of that, my ability to get another sale in a hurry probably is limited. So, I had lots of reason to be upset and to be angry, but, really, what was it going to do? Where was it going to get me? The other thing that some people do is self care. You see, they totally understand that getting angry does not help them, does not help them in any way. All right? That's what I would like you to see, that it does not help you in any way whatsoever. And so, therefore, what is important is for you, if you can, to look after yourself. Visualize the anger being thrown onto the beach, and the big beach that is beautiful white sand is who you really are. That is your karma. That is who you are when everything is going right. And this is just a grain of sand in your life. And so, what I would ask for you is to understand this differently. If I allow my anger to overtake me, it is not going to help me sell my house because there's karma involved, I believe. And so, what did I do? Well, let me try and explain that to you. Okay, first of all, let's look at the week, right? If you think about it, I went through a roller coaster week. The joy of getting an offer that was fair, the joy of feeling, okay, I got a fair offer, and also, that it was good for me and for them. And so, when I look at it, it is so important that you can see both sides. That's what I would encourage you to do, is to make sure that you can see both sides of what is going on. If you can see both sides, then it will help you. So I felt the joy, and all my friends felt the joy as well, because they've been waiting with me for 6 months for this house to sell. However, when yesterday I went, what? I have to tell you that I'm pretty sure my friends all felt the same way as I did. I'm pretty sure that everybody that I advised also went, what? Did I read that correctly? Because, right, they would have had that same emotional roller coaster that I did. But the thing is, if you would get angry, why? See, why be angry? You can be shocked, but why get angry? So, what I found out is that really not getting your own way, if you like, I'd like to think of it this way. Not getting your own way is what makes you angry. You know, you had this plan in your mind, and suddenly, because of what has happened, your plan doesn't work anymore. So I like to think of it about being angry is like a petulant 5-year-old. Okay, Jody is saying to me, your friend Jody nearly threw up when she read it. Nice one, Jody. Um, and so, you look at it and you go, yes, it will affect my friends as well. But luckily, my friends are pretty good at controlling their anger, and they're learning, even if they're new to it. But what I wanted you to think about is this petulant child in me, is it's not fair thing. Well, life isn't fair. So the thing that I realized was I need to check in what is the fear? Because really the pressure on me to sell the house is about, will I survive juggling what little money I have left until the spring, if that's how long it takes to sell the house? Can you understand that? That if I knew that I was financially secure for another 6 months, would I be as angry? I would be a little bit upset, but I don't think I would be angry necessarily. So that's what I realized is I need to look at my stuff. And, Dr. Jerry Jampolsky said, love is letting go of fear. So if we're talking about self-love, whenever you get angry, ask yourself, what is my fear? What is it about what has just happened that made me angry? All right. And it was not getting my way. And then I went, well, hang on a second. Neither did the buyer. That's what I realized. Neither did the buyer. You see, the buyer wanted my house too. She really did. And then I remembered what I had been given in the way of information. Yes, she has the money. Her husband just died. And then it suddenly struck me that what the problem was, and I saw a comment from her realtor, what the problem was, she couldn't get at her money. Um, Now, some of you might know the word probate. That means that when somebody dies, it takes a while for all the money to be sorted out and for for everything to be checked out that all the creditors have been paid and everything else, and that your taxes have been paid and all those sort of or the deceased taxes has been paid. And only after all that has happened will the probate go through, and that says, okay, the inheritance can now be released. I wonder if that makes sense to people. So there are lots of legal things that need to happen before the government will say it is okay to release the money now. And that is called probate. Well, they're working on it, if you like. So what if what had happened was she had the money on paper? She might be worth a couple of million on paper, but if she can't get to it because it's still in probate, and what she had, my sense of it was that she probably thought that because it was there on paper, that she could get a loan against it. And the truth is, that's not necessarily true. And how do I know that? It happened to me. It literally happened to me, where I had money in an inheritance that I couldn't get at. And so when you've had personal experience, it it's just like you go, wait a minute, I know that feeling. Kimmy's saying that she gets upset because she was taught to respect her elders and parents, and I do not get that respect. Well, you know something? You were taught to respect. And so, therefore, if your grandchildren do not give you respect, it is pretty obvious to me and probably to you that they were not taught that the way that you were. You were taught it in a way that it was a no, maybe. All right. You were taught that, you know, it was demanded of you. And so, what I'm saying to you, Kimmy, is that if you could understand, which I know you do now, that it had nothing to do with you. Okay. Kimmy also said here that, and Jodie's passing me these messages, Kimmy, so just bear with me if it's a bit later than when you sent it. And she said, I carried it around for a long time, and when I start thinking about it, I get very upset. I need to learn how to stop it if I start thinking about it. Good. And that's what I wanted you to understand, is the way you can stop it is to see it as a grain of sand that you are throwing away. Throw that grain of sand away. Drop it in the big beach that is the nice person you really are. And don't let their bad manners affect your good graces. As I said to you many, many times before, Kimmy, we are only responsible for our behavior, not anybody else's. Okay? And we get to control our lives. We get to control our lives. We get to control, you know, who's in it and who's not in it. And we get to set the boundaries. That's who we are. So let me look at it this way. Kimmy, does being angry help you? You're right. Think about that. And anybody else that's listening to this. Did it help me to be angry about the sale falling through at the last moment on the very issue I was told not to worry about? And the truth is, no. The truth is, what if I saw it totally differently, which is what I did? That's how I let go of it. I said, let me think about this. How could this have happened to somebody that I genuinely believed was a very decent and wonderful human being? That was the buyer. I don't for 1 second believe that she intended this. And therefore, if I can see that part, then I can see that I don't need to be angry at her. Something happened that she didn't expect. The bank said no. By the way, I've even had that happen in my life, where I had an inheritance and I couldn't get to the inheritance because it hadn't cleared probate, right? So this is like, I know that feeling. By the way, it took 5 years for that probate to finish. 5 years, not 6 months. 5 years. So I understand why the banks don't want to, give money against this. And so you're going, but that's not fair. No, it's not fair. You know what else isn't fair? Is the fact that I've got a lot of equity in my home and the banks will not lend me money against it because I am retired. Go figure that one. You're right. It's just like, hang on a second, my house is valued at this, and I owe the bank this. I can't get to this amount of money, even though it's my money. If you think about it, the bank owns this much of my house, and I own this much, and I can't get to use this collateral, as it's called, to get a loan so that I can live easily. Is that fair? No. By the way, getting angry about it doesn't make the bank change their mind. It is a total waste of your time and your serenity to get angry. That's what I want you to see. that it is a total waste of your time, your energy, and your karma to get angry. All right, now Jody is sending me more messages here, so let me see if I can see them. And thanks, Jody. I really appreciate what you're doing. I just need to get to them for a second. For those of you who've just joined in, I've got a problem where I can't see the feed. Okay, just hold on. All right, so Niesha is saying, I'm not quite understanding that analogy. That's a good way of letting go of the anger, but can you break it down for me, please? How does viewing your anger as a grain of sand and dropping it onto a beach, that is our good nature, get rid of it? Well, the way it is that's what you need to do is you need to let it go. That is why I want you to think about that. If you've got anger, let it go. And the way I do it is I go, "Ah!" It's not helping me. Being angry is not helping me. It is not changing the situation. Being angry is causing me more pain. It is causing me more pain. Therefore, I need to let it go. And Niasha, the way that I let it go is to drop it on my beach and go, I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be that angry person. It's not what I want to be. I want to be me. And me is the big beach person, right? The white sand. Me is the person that can forgive. And that is the key of it all, of course, is to be able to forgive. Could I forgive the buyer? Yes, I could. Why? Because I've been there and I had it happen. I can understand it can happen. By the way, how about the buyer's realtor who promised us that the money was there? He wasn't wrong. The money was there, but she couldn't get to it. So is getting angry at him going to change anything? No, not at all. I don't think he intentionally misled me. I think he knew that she was probably worth, however many zeros that the estate was worth and the house she was just selling was worth. What he didn't realize was that, if she sold a house and already that money went into probate, she couldn't get to it. But he hasn't had that experience, so he knows it now. He's learned something now. By the way, should I get angry, at my realtor for believing what the other realtor told him? No. You see, I believe that my realtor took the information as best they could and dealt with it. So you see, when you look at it all, it is like, what does getting angry do for you? Think about that. What does getting angry do for you? Can somebody, Jody, can you tell me on a cell phone, where do I tap to get the notes of what is being said? Because I suddenly realized I could go in and maybe see this on my feed, but I can't see where the comments are. But some of you do this on phones, therefore you will be able to tell me what to type or where to press. I want to make sure I press the right thing here. Oops, don't want that one. And then it would save you a lot of work. Okay, so Agnieszka, I'm hoping that makes more sense. The thing is, holding on to anger, being angry does not help you at all. Doesn't solve the problem. It doesn't make you feel good. It doesn't help your blood pressure. It doesn't help you at all. Being angry is just like a 3-year-old or a 2-year-old having a temper tantrum. Under the header. Okay, thanks very much, Jody. Huh. I'm not getting it. I'll have to practice that someday. Okay, not to worry. Jody, keep up the good work. She's going to send me a picture. All right, so my whole thing about this is I got angry. I don't mind telling you, my blood pressure went up, and I'm going, what? How is that possible? And then I went, it is what it is. It is what it is, Sal. Move on. Let it go. All right. That is, what am I going to do next? Was my next question, right? Because holding on to anger had no benefit to me whatsoever. All right. What was benefit? Okay, I can see the picture, Jody, but where do I press the live chat? Ah, got it. Thank you. Hang on one second. And of course, I don't have that on mine, do I? Because I am that person. We didn't think about that. Okay, I'll work it out somehow. I know it must be possible, but I'm not going to waste time on it today. All right. So, what I want to just keep saying to you is being angry does not help you. What helps you is asking the question, why do I want to waste my time and energy being angry? Let me move on. And how do you move on? You ask yourself, what can I do? All right. I cannot make the buyer get to her money. It's beyond my control. It's about the bank. So I need to let that go. I cannot gain anything from blaming people. I cannot possibly gain anything from blame. All right. So if you're in the habit of blaming people, well, they said da 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 da. Well, yeah, for a split second you can do that. But you know something? It doesn't help you. All right. It may be what happened, but it doesn't help you. And that is what I want you to understand. You can square, you can get your blood pressure up, you can ruin your day, your week, your year, even, but does it help you? No. What helps you is what are you going to do about it? So, in terms of selling my home, the only thing that I can do is to write to my realtor and say, I understand that you did everything you could to make this happen, and I am so sorry for you as well as me and as well as the buyer. I let my realtor know that. I then did one other thing. And the other thing I did was I wrote in my note to my realtor, I wrote a note to the buyer. And I said that I want you to know that I know you loved my house and you desperately wanted to buy it. And I am so sorry that it didn't work out. And it didn't work out for something beyond your control. And so I want you to know that my heart breaks for you because I know how much you love my home. And I want you to know that I know you're going through a grieving process already, and you didn't need this on top of it. And therefore, what I want you to know is I do not feel any anger towards you about this. And I'd like to remind you that if you need a hug, you know where to find me. You see, that is me in my big beach thing, right? That is who I am at my core. I am an understanding person, and I understand that things don't always go the way we want it to. So, Nyasha, let me just get your note here that Jodi's kindly sent me. Just hold on. Yes, so Nyasha is saying here, so being angry only hurts us only. So Nyasha's saying, okay, I have to try and remember that and get it into my head, because when I get angry, because I get angry at whatever happens. Yeah, I understand that. And then Kimmy is saying, Kimmy, I always love your honesty as well as Nyasha's, right? Kimmy's saying, and I'm the type that does not say anything. I carry the anger for a while. Um, and then I keep thinking about it time and time again. And it will remind me why I was upset. Well, hello, it doesn't help you, Kim. All right? It is not helping you to get upset, right? What helps you is letting it go and moving on. And get on to something you can do, like stop those kids visiting you if they are that disrespectful. All right. And by the way, cut down on the Christmas presents and stuff like that. If you always spoiled them rotten at Christmas and birthdays, stop doing that. You might give them a perfunctory, amount of money or something, but, stop giving them the big fancy presents you couldn't afford anyway. Mm. So, to me, if you can just learn the one thing, that's all I want you to understand from today. And we're going to do some quotes in a minute. But what I want you to understand is getting angry does nothing for you. I've said it before. If you are in a car and somebody cuts you off and you scream and shout at them, the person you are screaming and shouting at cannot hear you, people. All right? So to me, what can I do? I can tell. Oh, by the way, I also in that note wrote and thanked the buyer's agent for all that he did to try and make it happen. I can do that. I can tell my agent, because do you think my realtor was upset that this happened? You bet. But he couldn't change anymore. I know he did what he could. Do you think that the buyer's agent was upset? They just both of them lost a lot of commission on this deal when that note came through, right? Understand, it affected them as well as me. And so I wrote a note to both realtors and thanked them for all that they tried to do to help, because I know they did. I know they would have done everything within their power. I know that they got hold of mortgage brokers and all sorts of people to try and make the deal happen when that happened to the buyer. But nobody wants to lend money against probate necessarily, and because it can take so long. So, I don't know for sure that is what happened, but that is what my sense is. So, and then when I wrote the note to the buyer, that's something I can do. I can tell the buyer that I understand how you must be hurting. You are already grieving the loss of your husband, and then the house that you found that you loved, you cannot buy through no fault of your own, just because the system is holding up the money. I understand that. You know why? Because I have had it happen. That's why I can understand it. And so, if you can get it into your head that every time you start to get angry, you go, wait, what was that thing about the beach? This grain of sand is not helping me, and I need to lose it in my big white beach. I need to lose it because it is not helping me. You see, the person I am is the white beach, not this grain of sand. I am not a vindictive, nasty person. How many of you relate to this one? The only time that I have ever been a vindictive, nasty person, and I've been there, people, is when I've been angry. The calm me The real me is not vindictive and nasty. That witch from hell, as I call her, that witch from hell only comes out when I'm angry. And I made a conscious decision not to be that person anymore. I made a conscious decision to say to myself, the person being angry at me is angry. That means at some level they've lost control. I wonder if that makes sense to everybody. If the person that's being angry at you, if you can see that they actually have lost some control, because you have to lose control to be angry, right? You have to be the petulant child stomping your feet to be angry, right? And I've done it so many times. Believe me, I'm an expert. I've got lots of T-shirts. It's like, yeah, I know what that feels like. I don't like it. I don't like it when I am that person. How about you? So we're going to do some quotes now, and we'll continue to talk through this, because I know it's a really big thing to swallow. That anger is totally your stuff. And we blame everybody else. Well, they made me angry. No, you allowed yourself to get angry. You did not keep your self-control. That's what it's about. Your 3-year-old self is having a little snit, stomping their feet and going, I don't deserve that. Well, no, of course you don't deserve it. But it's not going to change it. It's not going to stop it just because you don't deserve it. I've just been watching the impeachment hearings. All right. And I'm started to get angry because, Yovanovitch, Ambassador Yovanovitch did not deserve um, the what was happening to her today by some people, nor did she deserve to have the president of the USA, intimidate her with a text just as she was about to give testimony. That made me angry. That he was busy attacking her just before she gave testimony. That's like mob boss mentality. That is not presidential. That is like, you expect the Gaudis of this world to do that. You don't expect a president to do that. And it was just like, I got angry for her because I really, at my core, did not believe she deserved that. And then I went, getting angry is not helping herself. Grain of sand. What will help her is getting the bully out of the White House. That will help, And so, to me, and I can't even affect that one. I can't vote, Okay, let's do some quotes. The weak can never forgive. Forgiveness is an attribute of the strong. Do you understand that to get rid of anger, you need to be able to forgive? All right. So if somebody is busy attacking me, my concentration needs to be to hear what they're trying to say, even though the words they are using might be very nasty. We were talking last week about active listening. So as they are attacking me with their words, I need to be thinking, what is it they're trying to tell me? And then seek first to understand. All right. So check that out. Make sure you say to yourself, as soon as they've finished and and by the way, sometimes you need to let them vent for a long time so that they can get rid. It's like a pressure cooker. You need to release the valve, let the steam go, and then maybe you can talk to a human being underneath there. So, but if you have emotional intelligence, you understand that they are angry. If they are angry, it's not helping them either. So the way you can help them is to say, I can hear that you are angry. from the words you're using and your body language, and it's telling me that as well. I want to make sure I understand why. What is it that you would have me do? Well, you are a lazy so and so and da 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 da. I hear you now using words to try and describe it. In what way do you see me being lazy? Keep going until you find out what this is really about. Well, you didn't make your bed this morning. No, you're right, I didn't. Let me go and do that right now. While we're here, is there anything else that is making you angry? Right? Is there anything else that is making you angry? Because if so, I would like to know about it. And well, you da 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 da, you're useless. In what way am I useless? I need to understand. Well, you make a mess. Well, I'm thinking about Nyasha. You make a mess when you cook, and because Nyasha can't see very well, she does. And you go, "Yep, that is true." By the way, I have tried very hard to correct that. Have you noticed any improvement? You see, if you keep coming back in a calm way, if you keep coming back trying to find out what is upsetting the other person, you will actually end up with more information than you normally get. That helps you. But being snippy and snotty and everything else back at the person that's attacking you actually doesn't. I found this with many people over the years in terms of viewers who have been, or if I get haters or something. You see, one of the things, I don't know if any of you have ever noticed that, is I actually I try to be pretty polite to haters. And my most watched video is something I did on windshield wipers, and every now and then I get somebody say to me it was a total waste of time for them. And that's fine. 250,000 people have seen it, and the fact that it was a total waste of time for you, yeah, is okay with me. I mean, and what I will do is I will say, I'm sorry, that is true for you. You know, but thank you for your input. I thank them for letting me know that. But I don't have to try and justify it or protect myself because I don't need that protection anymore. See, I honestly believe they're entitled to their opinion. It does not make my video a bad video just because one person doesn't like it. Makes sense. All right. Or, that, that I have an opinion they don't agree with. Well, that's okay with me. I don't ask everybody to agree with me. So I've, had viewers that have got really angry with me because I took a stand on something. And it's okay. Well, if you don't change your thinking, I'm going to leave. That's okay with me too. Right? I do not let people blackmail me into changing what I think. What I think is my right, and it's yours. And I respect my right to have my own opinion, and I also respect your right to have your opinion. And when I do that, I am the beach. I am at peace. I have some viewers I've written to because I know them pretty well and said, I am genuinely sorry that you are leaving because of this. I lost a viewer last week. Why? Because YouTube is very picky on the words that people use. And one viewer, the algorithm caught up on something they were saying, and I just warned them that YouTube doesn't like the use of that word because it has other connotations. And what happened was the viewer wrote to me and said, "Well, it's stupid. I'm not going to be a viewer anymore." I said, "That's okay. I understand. I do understand. I understand that you're not going to be able to stop using that language. That's who you are. But I still prefer to work with YouTube because it keeps the trolls away. Thank you." Thank you, YouTube. Oscar Wilde once said, "Always forgive your enemies. Always forgive your enemies. It annoys them so much." You see, when you can forgive your enemies, you are a bigger person than they are. Think about that. And most people don't want to be reminded of the fact that they can't do that, but you can. Nelson Mandela, who had lots of reasons to be angry at the world, when he was um, put on Robben Island um, in South Africa, he was locked away for many, many years for treason because he spoke against the government and actually took pretty violent action against the government, which was considered treason. Mandela said, "Resentment is like drinking poison and then hoping it will kill your enemies." Isn't that awesome? I've never read that quote from him before. So I thought I'd share it with you that resentment is like drinking poison and hoping it kills them. You see, resentment and anger are the poison you actually drink yourself. The longer you hold on to anger, the longer you hold on to resentment, the more poison you are drinking. And if you let it dwell, boy, Kimmy will tell you this one, right? If you let it dwell and fester, you end up in depression. You end up with, all sorts of stuff going on, and they are still doing what they're doing. That's it, and you are the one that got punished for their bad behavior, Kimmy. Right? You punished yourself for their bad behavior. I know you can see it now. I know that you've taken the action now. But if ever you had a sort of moment, it was like I was actually damaging myself by being angry at their behavior instead of doing something about it. And doing something about it really was quite simple once you did it. It's like, I'm not going to let people talk to me like that. I'm going to set a boundary. And if you want to carry on talking to me like that, that's fine. You just don't get to visit. And by the way, your presence, now about the presence, I don't mean that in quite the revengeful way that it sounds, but it's like, I don't spend a lot of money on people who don't like me, right? When if you know what I mean, it's like if you think about your Christmas list, right? Because that's coming up. If you think about your Christmas list, where do you spend the most money? You spend the most money with people that you love. And why do you love them? Probably because they love you. It's human nature. So if I've got people that don't love me, I don't I don't spend a whole lot of money on them. I might send them a card. If they're children, I might even, throw in, $5, but that's would be it. Now listen to what Confucius said, because this is magical. To be wronged is nothing unless you continue to remember it. Think about that. To be wronged is nothing unless you continue to remember it. If you can drop that little piece of sand into your big white beach and let it go, it will have no effect on you. The only time it has effect is when you keep remembering it, as Kimmy said, when you keep letting it back into your space, When you keep letting it back in, it continues to damage you. It stops you from being the kind, loving person that you really are. Their behavior affects your behavior. Don't let that happen, people. Put up the barrier that says, I will continue to be who I am. By the way, I would continue to love the people who don't love you. That takes a little bit more work. Even though you don't like me, I will still treat you with respect because I am responsible for my behavior. Even though you don't love me, I will still keep you in my prayers because you are in my life. And I pray for you to understand this one day. Martin Luther King, who had a lot of reasons to be angry, said, darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. You see, you can agree to disagree with somebody, but you don't have to hate them because they don't agree with you. You can just go, you know something? I love you to bits. I don't agree with you on this issue, but that doesn't change the fact that I love you to bits. Two different things. Oprah said, true forgiveness is when you can say, thank you for that experience. You see, when the arrows of attack come at you and you can see them coming, you can put up a defense system to protect yourself. I think what happened to so many of us for so many, many painful years is we didn't see the attack coming, so we couldn't put up our defense system. And our defense system, if you really think about it, is love. What if I answer this from a place of love, not hate? Remember, Dr. Jerry Jampolsky said that love is letting go of fear, but what he said in that book was there basically are two emotions, love and fear. And if you come from a place of love, the fear absolutely starts to wither away. And so if you have people attacking you and you can still say, you know something, I love you, I want to understand what it is that that you're so angry about. I hear that you're angry, but now I need to start finding out what specifically it is that I have done that you are so angry about. You see, it's their anger, not yours. If you get sucked into their anger, then you start saying things that you can never take back. And I'm pretty sure that anybody listening to this broadcast has had that happen, where they got sucked into somebody else's anger and their little inside 3-year-old had a little temper tantrum and said something that you have never been able to take back. And you maybe lost a really great relationship, or you really, messed up part of your sanity, if you like, just because you didn't control your anger. So forgiveness is when you can say, thank you for that experience. You see, how much have I learned through trying to sell my house? Those of you who are regular watchers, you're probably shaking your head going, I don't know how you've done this. I had my own realtor saying, I cannot believe how serene you are. I did lose it to anger once. On the person where I had already dropped the price and then I dropped it again and they came back and asked me to drop it again. Then I got angry because I thought that was just taking advantage of me. And I realized that I didn't have to say yes, right? But I felt cornered at the time. And that was my stuff. To feel cornered is my stuff, not theirs. They were trying to corner me. Yeah. But if I said yes to it, do you understand that I agreed to it? Why would I blame them? They're just trying to get a better deal. That's their, that's their heritage, is they bargain and they whittle people down. I just had to say no, thanks very much, but no. If you want to go back to our original offer, come back to me. But right now, no. And that's what I have learned. It's okay. I can do that. Mark Twain said, forgiveness is the fragrance that the violet sheds on the heel that crushed it. You see, when we can forgive people who attack us, it means that their anger did not reach us. If we can forgive the people who attack us, it means that their behavior was their behavior and it had nothing to do with the nice person that you are. Right? That you did not let it change who you are. Who you are is somebody that loves the world, not hates it. And when you love the world, don't you behave better? When you are happy, don't you behave better? And if your answer to that is, I sure do, then drop the anger into your white beach and let it go. Forgiveness, Martin Luther King Jr. said, forgiveness is not an occasional act. It's a constant attitude. A constant attitude. We all make mistakes. Even you. We all make mistakes. The fact that that person is making a horrible mistake right now, it does not mean you have to hate them. All right? What it means is they deserve some love because they are in an angry place. Well, look who came out of the woodwork. Candy-coated paw, I have not seen you in a month of Sundays. So long, I can't even remember your real name. I missed you too. I'm going to send you a hug. What I've always said is that our job is to be consistent and to just keep doing the work. And people will come in and out when they need us or just when they feel like visiting. So with tears in my eyes, how lovely to see you. And please give me your name again because, my two brain cells. Nicola. Is it Nicola? I'm dying to find out. No, I'm not dying. Oh, I am. We're all dying, right? Jody will let me know if I got it right. I can't read the comments right now. So hang on. Jody's giving me the answer. Dum, 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 dum. Bell. Okay, so big hugs. So glad to see you again. It's been a long time. Isn't that wonderful? Thank you. It touches my heart to see the names come back, which they do every now and then. We had Farmer who came on last week, and he'd been in an accident, and it was so nice to hear that he was okay, and so was his car. And so anybody who was around way back when, it always touches my heart to see them. Thank you. Forgiveness is the final form of love. If you are capable of forgiving people, I would like to say, well done. You have emotional intelligence. You have emotional intelligence if you are able to forgive people. If you hold on to hate, you need to do a little bit more work on your emotional intelligence. How about that for a very easy way of seeing how it all works? All right, so Belle says, it angers me if I'm being ignored. If a family asks me a question and won't bother to listen what I have to say, then spreads gossip about how bad I am, just for being different from their view. You know something? There is another way of looking at that. I don't know if you are a person of faith, but I think Jesus said something like, "Forgive them; they know not what they do." All right, that was the ultimate forgiveness for which he was about to die. Um, oh my gosh, I've just read a note from Belle, and it says she's been raising a toddler. She's been busy. She says she shows my daughter your video for a while and told her she's my friend, my Mama Sal. Well, hello to your daughter. And I can't remember her name as well. I remember when she must be what, 2 or 3 by now. And so, yes, I'm wearing my Don Simba shirt. You know that it's going to be coming up soon, and I can't tell you the date because Benji has to start with the date, and I don't think he's done that yet. I can't talk about it until he does. But all my friends in the Philippines, hang in there. All right. So Emma Goldman said, before we can forgive one another, we have to understand one another. You see, when I can understand that maybe the buyer did not intend to stiff me on this deal, when I can understand that at a very deep level, I can forgive her. When I can understand that her realtor did not mean to tell me a lie, which is, he told me the best truth he had at the time, which was the money is there. He didn't know she couldn't get to it. And I don't blame my realtor for believing what he was told, and therefore he passed it on to me. You see, where is the sense in that? How do I gain anything from hating people? Where do I gain anything from being angry? I don't. I just need to get over my little snit and get on with my very happy life. I keep saying to people, how many millions of people around the world would love to have my problem? How many millions of people would like to have that much money tied up in equity that they can't get to because they can't sell their house right at the moment? How many people around the world, millions and millions of people around the world, would love to own a home? Aren't I a lucky person? And by the way, how many people around the world, millions and millions of them, would be so grateful, right, to actually be in a position to buy a property 20 years ago and have that money accumulate its value? All right, so Kimmy is telling another truth, and I am certain a lot of people understand what she is saying. She says, I think why I get upset and I don't let go is because I do not get an apology and therefore no closure. All right, so Kimmy, listen up here, girl. Take a deep breath and look straight into the camera. What if you didn't need an apology? And what if you didn't need a closure? What if you just let them be the bad-mannered little so-and-sos that they are, and you got on with your happy life on your big beach? You see, it is our expectation that causes the pain. It is our good manners, the training we had. Those of us who were trained very severely to be well-mannered get very snitty about people who are badly mannered. But what if you understand maybe they didn't have that training? Maybe they didn't have parents that taught them that well. You see, then you can forgive them. It's not that they are nasty people, they just weren't taught that. Now, I know Kimmy gets angry because she taught her daughter better. But you now know that you cannot control. You can give your children the best training in the world, but it doesn't mean they're going to pass it on. But you know what I also found out? Because at one stage in my life, Kimmy, I had three stepchildren. And what I found out is children can accommodate two sets of rules. They can accommodate that they're allowed to do this in their home, but they're not allowed to do it in yours. I want to tell you that I know that because I've done it. I can remember only too well saying to my stepchildren, because they kept saying to me, oh, well, we're allowed to do this at home. Of course, I later found out they weren't, but I was saying, that's fine. But if you want to visit here, then these are the rules here, right? They're just different. So, be flexible. And if you want to keep visiting, please honor the rules here. If you don't want to honor the rules here, that is fine, but I just won't be having you visit very often. Anger makes you smaller, while forgiveness forces you to grow beyond what you are. Think about that. Anger makes you smaller. When you allow yourself to get sucked into somebody else's emotional snit, it makes you smaller. You see, if you can forgive your grandchildren for, at some level, of not having manners because they weren't forced to have them the way you were, then you see it comes from a different place, which is, hey guys, you know, you're entitled. Yeah, you're entitled to behave any way you choose, right? However, as an adult in my own house, I have to tell you, I choose not to have you behave like that in my house. So what you do in your house is totally up to you. Um, Belle is saying, oh yeah, she's going on 3 or 4. Ah, um, your memory is still so sharp. I always remind myself not to be angry, to live my life, because I know that they wouldn't care if I stay angry, but I'd feel awful. Yes, Belle, and that is exactly the point. Do yourself a favor and stop drinking the poison that is anger and resentment. Stop drinking that poison. It is not helping you one bit. Being right does not make you happy. Just because you are right that those grandchildren should be more respectful of their elders does not make you happy. Getting rid of the rudeness by not letting them in your house will make you happy. But if you spend your life going, yes, but if only, you just make yourself more angry and more sad. All right. And Kimmy's saying, yes, I do say those things, but they don't care. And if they don't care, that is their right. All right. That is their right. And sometimes, and some of my viewers will know this because they have lived it, sometimes those children actually grow up to be adults. And sometimes when they grow up to be adults, they think back at the very bad behavior that they had, and they did, and they apologize. I've seen that happen too. So don't give up hope on them. Keep telling them that you love them. You're just, not happy with the behavior, but that's their right, to behave that way. And that the consequence of that behavior is they don't come to visit. And if they say, well, I didn't enjoy visiting anyway, well, how about that? Isn't that wonderful? That's a win-win. Give them a hug. George Eliot said, it is surely better to pardon too much than to condemn too many. Right? I want you to work on that. Stop drinking that poison. Let it go. Don't drink the anger. Don't drink the resentment. Let it go onto the beach. Remember who you are. Who you are is a kind and loving person, and you are not going to let the world change that anymore. You have spent too many miserable years, quite honestly, making yourself miserable. It's enough now. Don't do it anymore. Love only grows, Brian Tracy said, by sharing. You can only have more for yourself by giving it away to others. You can only have more for yourself by giving it away to others. And that's not about money. That is, if you are a kind, decent human being and you do that behavior, you are giving it to others. There are people that are going to go, gosh, I would like to be like that person. And therefore, you are sharing, you are giving them a role model that they know it is possible to be happy if you take these steps, if you let go. All right. So, hi, Kerry. Good to see you. Kerry's saying, the older I get, the more I live and let live. I am not responsible for them and their emotions. I am only responsible for mine. Remember to sing the song from Frozen, right? Regularly. Let it go. Just let it go. And so, as we look at this, I hope some of you are really getting an aha moment from this. Jody, I remember your reaction when you first heard that I had written to the buyer. And I remember you you going, I think for a moment there you put halo and wings on me that I didn't deserve. But I'm pretty sure that when you gave it some thought, you could also see that that buyer did not intend to hurt me. And therefore, why would I let it hurt me? I just, it was like I really felt nothing but sadness, more sadness for her than I felt for myself. I know that's weird, but I genuinely felt more sadness for her than I felt for myself. I have grown. Maya Angelou, who we quote regularly, said it is one of the greatest gifts that you can give yourself to forgive. Forgive everybody. Forgive everybody. You know, I went through two horrific marriages and therefore two horrific divorces. In both cases, I really married for life, or so I thought, because I gave vows to that. And twice I found men that didn't keep to their vows. And that is made me very angry and very sad and very resentful and very untrusting of people. That I realize that they what they say isn't what they mean. And again, I can now see in this better place that I am in, I can now see that it might not have been their intent. Maybe they really did mean it at the time. But things change. And we all know that because of our lives. It is said that to forgive is to set a prisoner free and discover that the prisoner was you. You see, I don't mind telling you, I was very resentful of my second husband for what I felt he did to me. And that was when I was in victim mode. All right. And it took me quite a few years to forgive him. But I do know one thing, that the day I forgave him, I started to live again. I started to enjoy my life. I didn't spend my life constantly hating them. I'm certain that Kimmy will tell you the same thing. When she actually took action, when she did what she could about the grandchildren, rather than just be angry about it, her life changed. Your life doesn't change by just what you're thinking. Your life changes by what you do. right? And so I want to give an example. Kerry was, really upset earlier in the week because she was having real problems sleeping, and she was having problems with physical reactions and stuff. And she can sit and moan and groan about it for 3 years. It won't change it. It's what she does about it that will change it, right? And she just, found out that going and having a hot shower, helped it a little bit. But the truth is, if you've got that going on, you maybe want to be talking to a doctor and letting them know. You know, but again, what I love was Kerry could see that, complaining about it wasn't going to fix it. She needed to do something about it. And part of doing something about it was actually working out what was she hanging on to? What was she angry about? What was she, stressing about? Have you ever heard the expression sick and tired? I'm sick and tired of so and so. Or I'm sick and tired of being sick. And that's what I say to myself. If I start feeling that sick and tired of this feeling, I go, what are you sick from being tired of? Because very often, Kerry, from my experience, we get these reactions when we are sick and tired of something. You see, being tired of something makes us sick. And therefore, it sometimes is quite beneficial to go, okay, what am I sick and tired of right now? I do that quite regularly. If I'm suddenly not feeling very well and I'm flushed or I'm shaky or whatever, and I go, whoa, stop a minute. What are you sick and tired of? Because I can feel the sick and tired feeling. I don't know if any of you understand that. And yet you can have people who are truly sick and have every reason to be tired, who are living happier lives than you are. And that inspires me. I look at what Jody gets up to, and she is a sick and tired lady who actually makes the most of every day she possibly can. And I so respect her for that. And she is such a role model in that. You know, I also know that when I was going through this dealing with reality, the reality is the sale has collapsed, move on. Yeah. Don't be angry. Let that go. Just what's the next step? The next step is let's forgive everybody and have everybody be in a calm place so that we can keep the love and joy inside this house and that so that it will sell. I could control that. I could forgive everybody in my own way and let them know I love them dearly and it was a pleasure to meet them, which it was. I can do that. It's my big beach. It's who I like to be. I don't like being the witch from hell. It is said that we cannot embrace God's forgiveness if we are so busy clinging onto past wounds and nursing old grudges. Story about my ex-husband, right? Never forget that the three powerful resources you always have available to you are love, prayer, and forgiveness. If you are holding on to anger, you are drinking your own poison. If you are holding on to resentment, you are drinking your own poison. Don't do that. You've done enough of that. Time to let it go and move on. All right, let me try and see a note here. Thank you, Jody. Kimmy saying, I tried to talk and be nice to my ex and his family he is with now for the sake of our kids. Never again will I ever do that again. Are you saying you will never be kind to people again? Just so that I understand. Because I think you are a kind and decent person, Kim. And I think that's who you are. And I would never, ever tell you to stop being that. And I would never say to you, you know, if you've got an ex, treat them badly just because they treated you badly. That's revenge. It is really important that you stay who you are on your big beach of white sand. And let the people who want to chuck nasties on your beach just clear the nasties away, but still understand, right? That not everybody has learned what you have. Steve Maraboli, here we go again. The truth is that unless you let go, unless you forgive yourself, unless you forgive the situation, unless you realize that the situation is over, you cannot move it forward. You cannot move forward if you are holding grudges, hate, and resentment and anger. You cannot move forward to a happy life if you have got all of that in your DNA. Right. Kimmy's saying forgiveness is hard work. It's so hard to work on, isn't it? Yeah. And you're doing a great job, I think. You know something, Kimmy? I think you're doing a great job. If I look at what you have achieved over the last couple of years, I know you're working on it. Right? I know. Um, and I understand that you're saying that you will never trust them. Well, I want to tell you there are a few people in my life that I will never trust. It doesn't mean I hate them. I feel sorry for them, quite honestly. I feel sorry for them that they need to lie and cheat because they think that is the right way to get ahead. What do I know? Why do I feel sorry for them? I feel sorry for them because life has a way of karma coming back at them. And so I feel sad for them. But the truth is, I don't have to hate them. I don't have to punish everybody else I meet by the bad behavior of a few. All right. I can trust people. I just need to trust the right people. Right? It's not that I need to stop trusting people. It's about I need to make sure I trust the right people. Why? Because the right people don't let you down. The right people, right? Your people have manners. Your people, Kimmy, have respect. Right? And you respect people. I must admit that I've said so many times, Kimmy, if I summed up my relationship with Yvonne, my tenant and friend, if I summed up that relationship in one word, it would be respect. I respect that she didn't grow up with the very, good um, upbringing that I came from. And I say good, I was, went to good schools and I was taught all sorts of things. I respect the fact that she didn't, but boy, do I respect the fact that she has taught herself so much. All right. I respect the fact that she has OCD. All right. And I value it. you know, I don't disrespect it. I value it. I respect that I set ground rules for her because I know she works, she has that sort of a mind. I set ground rules for her that we share a washing machine and a dryer. I would do my wash during this time of the day, and she was entitled to do her washes between this time of the day. We worked it out so it suited her. Obviously, when I retired, I switched it from certain days to times. In other words, I said, now that I'm retired, I can do my wash during the days. So how about you do your wash during the evenings now? Not on certain days, just, any evening, after this time, the washer dryer is yours. You see, that's called being respectful of somebody else. And she got very worried because sometimes she's got the dryer going at 1 o'clock in the morning. You know something? I know she wouldn't have the dryer going at 1 o'clock in the morning if she could help it. And I have learned to listen to that dryer and appreciate the rhythm of it because it can send you to sleep if you stop resenting it and go, that's actually quite a nice pattern to it. Inner peace can only be reached only when we practice forgiveness. Inner peace can only be reached when we practice forgiveness. Forgiveness is letting go of the past and therefore the means for correcting our misperceptions. Right? I don't think, Kimmy, that it is your children's fault that they are badly mannered. Okay. I think they were badly parented, and I know that you cannot understand why that is so because you did not teach your children that way. But you do not have control over your children. They are adults now. And so I want you to practice forgiveness and remind your grandchildren that you really do love them. You might not like some of their behavior, but you still love them. And let them know that, if you still welcome them into your house. They just need to understand that, insulting you is not a way to get invites. And they say, well, I don't even want to visit you. Well, that's okay. But I still love you. That is, you remember what we said early on? That's the most powerful thing, to love your enemies. If they want to be your enemy and you still love them, it takes away so much of their power. Be the one who nurtures and builds. Be the one who is understanding and a forgiving heart, one who looks for the best in people. Leave people better than you found them. All right, and Kimmy is saying, I used to talk to them. Then I get a phone call screaming at me, telling me I should go to the crazy house because I'm mental. Is that from your grandchildren or your children? Jody, let me know which of those two, if you would. Um, the reality is they are entitled to their opinion. All right. And by the way, um, if you, if you, even if you are on, even if you're on medication, the truth is, yeah, we're all a little bit mental. I would actually just say, I'm so sorry you feel that because it sounds to me like, you know, you are acting, uh, you know, screaming and shouting is not the behavior of a mentally together person. And at the moment, I'd like to just remind you, I'm not the one screaming and shouting. I have found some emotional intelligence. And I realize screaming and shouting and calling people names is not an act of love. All right. And this behavior, I'm being told, is from her ex, his wife, and daughter. And so, therefore, why keep them in your life? If that is what they truly believe of you, and if they hate you at that level, I would go and find myself a new husband. I would find myself some new children. You know what I mean? The joy that we have in this life is we don't have to keep to the family we were born into. They were put in our lives to teach us something, but we can move on and find different people. We can actually create the family we want. from our family and friends, and from our own friends, even if it's not our family. I want to tell you that I have friends that are better um, sisters and brothers to me than my real family will ever be, and I am so very grateful for that. I am so very grateful for that. So I'm being reminded by Jody, of course, that I need to just do the countdown. So let's do that quickly before we finish this broadcast. And for those of you who love Easter and love all that is surrounded, I don't know what it's funny when I think of Easter, I think about spending nearly a week in chapel. I grew up in the High Anglican Church, and I was educated in a school run by nuns. And my greatest memory of Easter, it was not what it stood for, but was I am going to spend nearly a week on my knees. And however, I hope that made some of you smile, because sometimes with all the good training in the world, your memory of that particular holiday, religious holiday, is not necessarily the one they wanted you to have. So Easter is 4 months and 28 days away. For those of you like Sal who do not do winter, we are just 125 days away from spring. I love that. And for those of you going, really, so when do we turn the clocks forward again? In 114 days. Which is awesome. Just 114 days until the clocks go forward. That means crocus time. That's how, I always think about that. The clocks normally go forward on crocus time. Valentine's Day for my romantics, which hopefully are most of you, is just 3 months away today. Isn't that awesome? Christmas is just 39 days away. For the Americans, you have 13 days until Thanksgiving. And for those of you like me who've been struggling a bit with Mercury being in retrograde, November the 20th, it comes back out again and we'll be fine. And for those of you who just need a reminder, if you're going to be sending presents and cards overseas, it's a really good idea to get them out by the end of this month, which is not very far away. All right, let me just see what Jody sent me here. She sent me another note from Kimmy. Wow, isn't that interesting? And just see if I got that right. I just want to expand my window a bit. Because if what I'm reading is what I think I'm reading, Kimmy just proved the point. All right, so Kimmy says, I don't have them in my life now. Or before that happened, our daughter asked me to be friends with them. Okay. And so your daughter understood the need. And so Kimmy's saying, so I thought that was time to do that. And I agreed to do it for our daughter and their kids, which was a big, huge mistake. So it wasn't your daughter that was being rude to you, it was their children? Or did your daughter also be rude to you? You see, I don't think forgiving them was a mistake. I still don't think it. Forgive them. They know not what they do. Right? And one day, because karma has a way of doing that, one day somebody is going to treat them that way, and they're going to realize what they did. I want to tell you something, Kimmy. I had a viewer who did something really quite nasty to me. And it was really strange because about a year later, that person wrote to me and complained about being treated really badly by somebody. And I let them talk for about an hour, one-on-one. We were busy doing that. And at the end of it, when I got that person settled down again, I said to them, I'd like you to give some thought to something if you are in a good place now. And they said, what's that? I said, I'd like you to see that all that you have been talking about for over an hour is exactly what you did to me a year ago. But I still love you. I love you enough to give you this time to help you settle down. And I want you to think about that. What does it take for me to let go of that hate or resentment or any of those nasty emotions to be able to still want to help you? And when you have worked that out, you will be able to forgive the person who is treating you badly. So it is up to us to be that person when we can. And before I go, I'd just like to add one point to this. Sometimes, if you are human, your anger and your resentment will get the better of you before you can shut your mouth and get it under control. I know that to be true. Why? Been there, done that. And so here is my parting shot on this one. If you have been angry at somebody else, give yourself time to get emotionally back under control and then apologize. Just say, hey, a couple of days ago, I totally lost it. And I just wanted to let you know I am so sorry. Right? And then what I want you to see is you are human. And sometimes even the best of control isn't enough for you to be able to keep total control because you're not perfect. And so every now and then you will be angry, and I need you to be able to start by forgiving yourself for being human. And then regroup and apologize because that shows character. You see, it takes character and courage to apologize, doesn't it? I'd like to just say, I'm sorry for what I did. I was emotionally triggered. I was upset, and I used anger as a weapon, and I am so sorry. And I would love it if you can find it in your heart to forgive me. But even if you can't, I need you to know I love you, and I did not intend to be that cruel. It's not who I am, and I hope that you will know that from your own experience. If you can do that, if you can forgive other people, you will have a happier life. But let me be quite clear. If you cannot take your own grains of sand and drop them on the beach and let go of your own stuff, you will never be able to do it for other people. Let me tell you what I mean. I just want to show you. With all the stress that's going on, I'm pretty sure that you know that I was a smoker. And in the old days, when that much stress was going on, what I would do is smoke. That's how I would cope. And the strange thing is that I don't do that anymore. I don't smoke because I took control. What I did was when all this stress is going on, I realized that I needed to look after myself. Self-love was really important. So the two things that I kept control of, let me just show you, is number one, My blood pressure is still around the 60. My resting heart rate, rather, is still there. I've worked very hard at that. How? I've been pacing my life. I've been going and using negative energy in a positive way. The other thing that I've been doing is keeping track of my blood sugar because I need to make sure I don't compensate with sugar. And I haven't got that on a graph for you, but I want to tell you that I have struggled to do it, but I have basically kept my blood sugar under control. However, because I am not perfect and I am not, what amazes me is what happened to my weight. Okay, look what happened to my weight. How that is possible, how that is possible when I've got my blood sugar under control is beyond me. How is it possible to keep my blood sugar under control and put on nearly 10 pounds with this stress? But can you all see that beating up on myself, being angry with myself for that is not going to help me at all? I need to let go of the fact that something went wrong and concentrate on what can I do to fix it. And so now I have to look at my life and go, where was that weight coming from? Well, have I started ballooning up, retaining water again? Yes. And so I'm now busy trying to make sure that I, take diuretics to help get rid of the excess water because a lot of that weight is water, not all of it, but a lot of it. And then I'm looking at, okay, fine, what else is causing that weight gain? Maybe it's not me, right? Maybe something medically is going on that the stress actually triggered. Because if I am thinking about self love, then, maybe it's not all me. And so I will be talking to my doctor about that. I won't be happy, but I will be talking to him about that and say, look, I kept my blood sugar under control. I kept my resting heart rate under control. I really haven't been eating that badly because otherwise my blood sugar would show it. And I'm not stressing out because because I can prove that in my resting heart rate. So what causes that sort of sudden gain? And I believe that it could be stress. And I don't know how it packs on the weight, but Jody probably does. And knowing Jody, she will tell me, not necessarily right now. And so the point I'm making is, will getting angry at myself fix that? No. Will being resentful of it, how is that possible? It's not fair. I've done all the right things and I'm still packing on weight. You know, quite honestly, getting resentful of it is not going to fix it. Jody's just let me know that it's the cortisol. High stress releases cortisol, and I don't know what that does. It must be, it must carry a lot of baggage with it because it's heavy. And so, how do I get rid of the cortisol, Jody? I'm in need of that clue. And so, when you look at it getting angry is not going to reduce the weight. Being resentful of it, it's not fair. I tried so hard. It's not going to do it. I just need to keep doing the right things. It has a lot of baggage. Yeah, it does, Jody. You're right. It has an amazing amount of baggage in my life. So I hope that this has helped some of you. And if it has, leave me a comment below. For those of you who support us, Thank you so much for helping me cope. This time in particular, there are a lot of bills to be paid, and every contribution I get is gratefully received. Thank you. And so I look at it and go, we are all learning this. All right. We are all struggling. Kimmy, I give you a huge round of applause. Um, Belle, if you are still around listening to this or watching this, and I can't see that because I can't see the comments, but I want to hope that you saw the genuine joy I had in seeing your name appear. And, you know, anytime you want to come and visit, you will make me very happy person. Now, isn't that selfish? But it is my truth. It is always pleasure to see your name. So everybody, work on you and forgive them. That would be the bottom line. Drop the anger onto your white beach. Work on you and forgive them. When I realized that when all that went down, there was only one person who was going to make me happy, and that was me. And I asked myself, what would be the best demonstration of your white beach, of who you are as a human being? What would be the very best demonstration of that? If you were able to totally control your anger and how upset you are, your fears, everything. If you were able to totally control that, what would you want to say to the buyer, to the buyer's realtor, to your own realtor, and to yourself? And I did that in a matter of minutes, definitely within the hour. And I felt so good. I really did. Because in order to write that, I had to let go of an awful lot of things. And I just want to thank you all, because if we had not been working on emotional intelligence this year into the degree that we have, I don't think I could have written that. I don't think the old me could have done that. So I want to thank you all. As we grow together, we will see incredible changes in our happiness. And I'm just moving on. My house will sell eventually. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, don't let the anger cause you to drink your own poison. Let it go. Thank you all for being here. Jody, thank you. And Jody, our thoughts and prayers for Monday. I will be saying that a lot this weekend. I can't say that too many times, quite honestly. For those of you who might have had a birthday this week, I'm sorry if I missed it. I'm still trying to fix the website where the calendar has dropped away. We're working on that at the moment. And so if I forgot your birthday, please forgive me if you can. This is Dear Mama Sal saying thank you so much for being here. Keep on learning. It is a cornerstone to your happiness. Bye-bye for now.